Intro's done. We'll just go until we can. If it cuts out, let's take over.
Okay. And happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Cannon. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by Merlin Law Group, Atlas Roofing, as well as Premier Claims. And I know I'm forgetting one. What am I forgetting? One of those. All our sponsors, thank you guys so much. We'll have you all tagged at the bottom of this video, so make sure you check them out. So let's get right into our weather headlines. Quite a busy day over the last 24 hours or so, and it's ongoing right now as well. So we have, once again, another severe weather chance for today. All hazards are possible across the southern plains, and then as we get into tomorrow, those storms will be affecting the east coast. And besides this storm system, we are dealing with an extremely critical fire risk in parts of western Texas and New Mexico. And that's all due to it being really dry and with those gusty winds. So before we get into the forecast, we are continuing our Raising Hail Tour 2025. We are in Omaha, Nebraska today. And then 1 week from today, we will be in Orlando, Florida. And that will be the last one for our tour. Thanks again to our sponsors for helping us out with this. So if you would like to go to the Orlando one, which is again the last one, you can use this code here, RHTTaylor10, and get $10 off of your ticket. So use that to get some money off and enjoy a fun time in Orlando next week. So, like I said, yesterday was a pretty busy day, really overnight into early this morning. We started off quiet across the country, but then as we got into later on in the evening, we started to see some storms fire up in western Oklahoma. Here we go, and they just moved on to the northeast, parts of southern Kansas, all the way down through the Dallas area, eastward into Louisiana and Arkansas. Lots of wind reports and a few hail reports here and there as well. And so we will continue to track this as it moves off to the east. More details of that in just a moment. So in terms of our temperatures, we are quite above normal here for the eastern half of the country, getting below average here once we get into the Rockies, Montana, all the way down into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles behind that low pressure system, and some more below average temperatures in the west. As we get into tomorrow and that system moves off to the east, cold air will set in behind that low pressure system, staying above average as we go into the eastern part of the country tomorrow. But then as we get into Thursday and that storm system starts to move off the coast, more cold air here in the eastern part of the U.S. and starting to warm up once again here in parts of the central southern plains, even up into the Dakotas and Minnesota, and staying below average out west. So here are our current conditions right now. If you haven't noticed, we have a very strong storm system in the middle of the country, low pressure systems right near the Kansas-Oklahoma border, and that front, a cold front, stretches all the way down to eastern Texas, getting into western Louisiana. And you can see these are called isobars, so lines of equal pressure. They're really tight together, and that's what's causing those very gusty winds across the country right now. So we're going to zoom right into where we're expecting some severe weather for today. So basically parts of southeastern Arkansas all the way down to Louisiana, eastward into Mississippi, Alabama. You can see plenty of sunshine right now. So we're starting to get that heating of the day that will build up that instability for those storms as they move on through. We do have a tornado watch out for the next few hours here in Louisiana, and a warning here and there. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning up. So as we go through the rest of the afternoon, that will be pushing off to the east, and we'll keep an eye on that severe weather for you. Now, behind the low pressure system, cold air is setting in, and we're seeing snow falling from Minnesota down into South Dakota, Nebraska, and western Kansas, and getting some rain wrapping behind that as well. And then another system moving on into the northwest, so another rainy day for you guys in Seattle and Portland. So zooming on out, taking a look at our temperatures. Ahead of the low pressure system, ahead of that cold front, temperatures are in the 60s and 70s, but you get behind that low pressure system where that cold air is wrapping around the low, we're getting at temperatures in the 40s down into the 30s, so quite a temperature difference here with this storm system. And then our dew points, it's relatively dry overall, except for right along the Gulf Coast where we have that instability. So we have the moisture, the instability, and some lift that is causing that severe weather down in the south. And here are current alerts. We have a lot of color here on this map. Just to kind of summarize, the tan and the browns here, these are all wind related. So wind advisories, wind warnings are in effect. Again, this is a very gusty, strong storm system. And then we even have some blizzard warnings and some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories out here on the cold end. And then we even have some fire risk here in parts of Texas, and more winter weather advisories out west. So if I jump ahead here we go. We have a fire weather outlook over the next few days. It's very dry in Texas, so we do have an extreme fire alert out for you guys in the pink. As we get into tomorrow, it does look a bit better, but then as we get into our end of the week, so this is by Friday, we do have another few areas that will be needed monitoring for the potential for wildfires to spark up because of those dry conditions. So here's our future radar. Again, this strong system will continue to push off to the east, and as we go through the rest of the afternoon, stopping it at basically not stopping, but going through the rest of the evening, this will continue to push off to the east. So areas such as Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, Alabama, even to Atlanta, stopping it at midnight tonight. Severe weather is possible, and then just a mess behind the low pressure system getting basically from parts of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, down into Missouri. Snow, heavy snow. That's why we have those blizzard and winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings out. Will be falling as that low pressure pushes off to the east and we get that wrap around. And just kind of zooming on in here to get more detail. So this is right now. Storms are moving into central Louisiana as we go through the rest of this afternoon, stopping it at 5 p.m. Central Time. Areas such as Jackson, we'll be keeping an eye on you, Memphis, and then later on into Nashville. And then going into the rest of the evening, we'll be watching Birmingham, and then nearing midnight, we'll be watching Atlanta. So you can see it's mostly a line here, so it's going to be mostly a wind and tornado threat today. Hail cannot be ruled out, but I think the hail, if anything, will be on the smaller side. So we'll get into more detail about that in just a moment. And here we go. I'm keeping it right now just $1.25 to $1.50. Low chances across the board here as far north as KC, although those chances may be winding down now as they're getting on the colder side of the system. But St. Louis, Little Rock, down to as far west as Shreveport, your risk will be pretty much ending very soon as that line is off to your east now. But Jackson, New Orleans, Mobile, you guys will have that low and chance to see some $1.25 to $1.50 size today. And then as we get into our wind and tornado information, or I guess we got the next hails. I created these graphics, I should know better. So $1.25 to $1.50 size hail is the maximum size that we will see today. I don't think anything larger will happen. The confidence is pretty low on that. So right now, just $1.25 to $1.50 size hail, yes. So in terms of our wind, a pretty large area as well. The highest chance to see those gusty winds will be here. Again, Jackson down to Mobile, and some moderate and low chances here as we go further north to Kansas City. And then in terms of our tornado risk, if I can go forward here a little bit, here we go. Our tornado forecast for today, pretty high chance to see one. Again, same areas, Jackson, Louisiana, down to New Orleans, and then a low end chance as far north as KC. So make sure you keep an eye on out for any warnings that are issued for your areas, as it could be a pretty long day today. And then overall, we do have a medium risk for severe weather. Tornadoes and high winds will be the highest risks. We do have a low end chance for some large hail as well as some flooding. So getting into tomorrow, again, a mess here in the eastern part of the U.S. and basically going to wake up. Storms will be moving on into the Raleigh area, down into South Carolina, northeastward into areas such as Virginia and Maryland. And that will be pushing off the coast as we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow. And then behind that system, once again, lots of rain as well as some snow if you guys are going to get cold enough for that. And then in terms of severe weather, again, after about 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern time, we should start to quiet down quite quickly. And then we'll just be dealing with a big old mess there in terms of some rain and snow. So in terms of hail for tomorrow, again, keeping it pretty low, $1.25 to $1.5 size hail at the largest from Pittsburgh all the way down to Tampa. So once again, wind and that tornado risk will be at the highest for tomorrow, and hail will be on the smaller side. So here we go for our wind. So I think the best chance will be here in North Carolina, getting up into parts of Virginia, where I do have a high risk for severe winds tomorrow, and then moderate chances from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Roanoke, down to Savannah, and then a low end chance as we get down into Florida. And then we also, of course, do have that tornado risk as well. If I can get forward to the graphics here, if it's going to be nice, here we go. So a low end chance tomorrow to see some tornado risk basically from the same area. So Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, all the way down to Jacksonville. But I think the greatest risk will be here in parts of Virginia and the eastern coast of the Carolinas. So here's our future jet stream, kind of just taking a look ahead really quickly. Here's the system that is bringing that severe weather today. You can see those winds aloft are very strong, and they're getting to the surface. So it's going to be a windy day here in the central and southern parts of the U.S. They'll be pushing off to the east as we get into tomorrow. Cold air behind it here as that trough moves off to the east. And then we start to be a bit quiet for a day or two until we see this next little system moving on into the southwest, and then eventually here into the southern U.S. And as we get into our weekend right now, not really anticipating anything in terms of severe weather, but something that we will watch as we get a bit closer. So in terms of our future temperatures, cooling down here behind that system, staying warm ahead of that cold front, but that will be changing as that front moves off to the east and off the coast, and cooling on down here as we get into our Thursday, warming up along the south as we get that rebounding, and same as we get into Friday, where temperatures will be once again in the 60s and 70s in the south, but staying cool up in the north, and same deal as we get into our Saturday morning. So just a few more things here. Above average temperatures for most of us in the central part of the U.S. getting into March 8th through the 12th. Staying dry basically in the central U.S., wetter than average here in the east and in the western parts of the U.S. So we're closing it out now. Once again, Raising Hail Tour today in Omaha, closing it out next week in Orlando. If you haven't already and you want to go to the Orlando show, you can go and purchase your tickets and use this code here to get $10 off of your tickets. So that's all that I have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page. Make sure you hit See First on Facebook so you don't miss any of our live videos. You can scan that QR code above to get set up with a demo to learn more about our products. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday.